Hello and welcome to Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is January the 4th, 2024, a new year. It's going to be hard to keep remembering the date. But anyway, I'm so happy to have you all with me. I hope you had a happy new year and a safe and enjoyable vacation for Christmas and New Year's. And today, Kiki has just dropped by to welcome you to the new year with her new dress. And now we'll put her up out of the way where she can keep an eye on what's going on. And I just want to place that a little bit better. And I have an awful lot of things I want to share with you, but I don't think I'm going to get through it all today. So I'll probably have to save some of it for next week because I don't want to get this to get too long. But I'm wanting to welcome you all back. I appreciate those of you that come back week after week after week and comment. And I also want to welcome some new people to the channel. There have been quite a few new people in the last month or so, and I hope you enjoy what you see. I think we have a good time here, and I appreciate your joining us. So I'm going to start with what I am wearing. You remember before Christmas, I had a red and green scarf on just like this. It's called the Zurzuru shawl. I will put a link in the description box below. And I made it out of red and green, and I thought they looked like poinsettias. But now that it's out of blue, does it sort of make you think of snowflakes? The pattern is from Reggie of J Hook Crochet, and the yarn is from Ravenswood. As you know, they're my favorite yarn dyer, and they are here in Canada. And maybe you can see a little bit of sparkle. That's why I love this yarn so much. I love anything that's a little bit sparkly. So that's what I am wearing. And I have one finished object. Actually, if I had waited another half hour, and I would have had two finished objects, but I decided not to push the other one, and I'll have it to show you next week. But this finished object is a scarf. Nothing too complicated. I did it in the moss stitch, and I used the leftover part of a cake. I made a shawl, and I don't know if I have a picture, I'll put it in the corner. I made a shawl with the beginnings of this cake. If you remember, Herstner's had a sale on mill end cakes, and this was a cake that was alpaca, and I had a fair bit of it left over from what I made before. So I went as far as the red. This had the red, and then the purple, and then the gray. And it's quite long. Half of it here seems to be just about my wingspan. So like if that's even just 5 feet, the thing, it might be 4 feet, 8 feet. I think it's longer than that. Is that 2 feet? 2 feet times 4, or 1.5 feet times 4. It's quite long. And it's very soft because it's alpaca. So that's my one finished object. Because as you know, I have been kind of babying my hand. It was really, really giving me trouble before Christmas. But I've been taking care of it, using some of the things people suggested. And I also spent time doing cross stitch and diamond painting, so I will be showing a little bit more of that. I took a picture of my cross stitch first thing in the morning, January 1st, so we know where I left off at the end of the year, and you'll see why that's important in a minute. So yes, I've been concentrating on other things this month. So that's my finished object. So I'm just going to put it over here. last time you saw me, of course, was when I did the slideshow, the first of the month. So that was on Monday. And I also announced or showed the picture for the inspiration for January. I realized afterwards that there were a couple of things that I didn't say when I talked about the mal or cow, whatever you want to call it. I'm calling it a make along because I have people that are making things knitted rather than crocheted. I'm a crochet channel and that's all I do, but other people knit. Who knows, we may get a weaver someday doing something, or a felt, maybe somebody will do felt. It's whatever you want to use with yarn. But I neglected to say a few things, so I thought I better catch that up right now, especially for the people that are new to the channel and want to participate. What I forgot to mention is because this just came up with a new subscriber. When you send it to me, and double check, the email is Judy's, there's an S in there, Judy's Creations, again with an S, Judy's Creations 21 at gmail.com. 21 is the year I started this channel. That's the email that you send your finished pictures of your finished objects to. Now, I have made it a habit since a problem came up in the fall of always responding. I don't say much. I just say, thanks for your submission, or got your picture, or something. One sentence, not a big long email, but I always respond to the email telling you I got it. And I generally do it within a couple of hours. But I'm going to say, if you don't hear back from me, say in 2 days, because although I answer right away, I don't check the email as often as I should. So I would say if you don't hear in 2 days, get in touch or resend it, or check how you sent it, or contact me some other way, even if it's to go on one of my videos and comment there, because I get every single comment sent to me. Comment there that you sent me a video, it didn't get there, or did I miss it, or something. It doesn't go to trash. So if you don't hear from me, it means I didn't get it. And that happened this past month. Somebody sent me one and it didn't show up in the slideshow. Well, I went and looked. I didn't get an email from her. So that's the first thing you should know, is make sure I respond to your email. The other thing I like, because I get these questions, when you send me the picture, not only do I need your name, and I did say sending it to me means you're giving me permission to put it in my slideshow. When you send it, I really like to know where you are from. For example, I have now I think I have 5 Lisas that watch. And when it comes in, I'm not sure which Lisa you are. So if you say, Ontario or Florida or Texas or I don't know, UK, some way to tell me where you are from so that I can put, now I have 2 Barbaras, and I know it's Barbara M and Barbara B. I put that on their name, with their name on the wheel. So when they win, I know which Barbara or which Lisa or whatever it is that won and who sent it. So knowing where you're from is kind of a way to know, first of all, where my followers are from, but second of all, to distinguish between other people. And the other question I get from people is, what is the pattern? So when you send it, this scarf, for example, if I entered it, I'd say it's my own creation. But if you used a particular pattern from Ravelry or Etsy, or a pattern from Yarnspiration, if you tell us the pattern and maybe the designer, you might not know the designer, but the pattern name, and if it's a tutorial on YouTube, then say it's Crystal Bag a Day tutorial, whatever, some way that a person might be able to find it, because oftentimes people see patterns there and they want to know, they'd like to do it as well. So I'd appreciate if you could add that in. The yarn doesn't matter. I mean, sometimes it's interesting to know, but you know, we all can't get the same yarn and whatever. But knowing the pattern, if you want to make it, is very helpful. So I just wanted to add that information that I didn't say on Monday. So I hope that you would include some information for us. Okay, I need a drink. So one more thing about the mallet. I was showing you what I was going to use, and I wasn't sure about the yellow. Well, good news. For those of you that were with me in the fall, you remember I got this bucket, plastic tub of yarn from a lady that my brother and his wife brought me. She was clearing out, and I forgot, and I happened to look in there, and I found a yellow that will work. I think I might change the green to one of these greens, but this yellow is going to go well with these colors. And let's try this green. So those are the ones with black that I'm going to use to make my item. I still have not figured out what that item is. I'm making something else first, and then I'll get around to choosing that. So I did find a yellow that's going to work. All right, so where are we starting? It's a brand new year, and as you know, last year I set some goals, and I talked about how I managed the goals at the end of the year. And I think I did pretty good at achieving most of my goals. So I decided I wanted to set goals again this year. Now the goals are quite similar in some ways, but not exactly the same. But the nice thing about having the goals, this is not, you know, people set New Year's resolutions. That's something they're going to, these aren't resolutions. These are goals of some things I want to achieve in my YouTube channel or in my crochet world, whatever, in my crafting. And I found that having the goal made me work at it. That's mainly what I want. So, for instance, I'll start with this one. I had a goal last year to make myself work on that cross stitch picture, and here's where I could post where I got to exactly by the end of the year. I found that having that goal, that I would work on it a little bit each week. I didn't work on it every week, but it made me more aware of it, and it made me sit down almost weekly. There was a month that I didn't, to get something accomplished. So this year, I'm going to go a step further. I'm not only going to continue with that cross stitch, I'm setting a goal to finish the cross stitch next year. I know when I talked about it at the end of December, I thought I would only get a certain part and I'd have to finish up the last bit in the new year. But I've been doing more cross stitch in order to take the pressure off of my hand. And I'm got my cross stitch mojo back, which I haven't had for like almost 10 years. And I really want that frame out of my living room. So my goal is to finish it. Now, I might come a little bit short. I might have to work into January to finish it. But I think if I set a goal to finish that cross stitch, I'll get pretty close. So that's one of my goals. The other, I'm not doing as many this year. The other major goal I have is to shop my stash. That doesn't mean I won't buy anything new, but I have bought so much gorgeous yarn, and then it goes on the shelf. And honestly, very little of it gets used because I'm busy doing something else or seeing something new. Sometimes I buy something and use it, but I really, really want to shop my stash. I have some beautiful yarn, and some of it I have intentions for certain things that I've never gotten to. Now, like I said, that doesn't mean I won't buy anything, but I'm not going to buy as much as I did. I'm thinking that instead of buying, hit and miss here and there, whatever I see, instead, I'm going to do something a little more intentional. I'm going to, and I'll talk about it more next week, I'm going to look for 2, maybe 3 places where I can get a monthly subscription. Mostly because I want to share certain companies with you. I want to see in a monthly subscription if I get things that maybe work together, and tell you my experience of the company. Like last year, I had a subscription with Arkansas Sock Society, and I'm glad I did it, but I'm done with them. I'm looking for subscriptions in Canada. They will be in Canada. And I'll talk about that next week, because I have looked at some already and I'm making some plans. So I'm going to shop my stash. I'm going to get some monthly subscriptions, and I'm going to try and keep it to that. So that's a second goal. Last year I had a goal to learn some new techniques, and you might say I sort of learned a little bit about mosaic, but I don't think I really covered it. So that goal did not go well, and I'm making a goal again this year to learn some new things, whether it be mosaic or brioche or cables or something new to me. I've learned the odd new stitch, I guess, but I really want to accomplish something new. I want to do something different than what I have done. I believe in lifelong learning, and so I want to learn something new in my craft. And I don't know that this is a goal, but this is something I intend to do more of, or some of, this year. You can decide, do I put it as a goal or not? But I definitely want this to be a year where I make sweaters. I guess my goal might be to make a sweater that I'm happy with, a sweater that fits the way I want it to fit. And if I find the right pattern, I can make it in lots of colors, or I can at least figure out what I need to do to make sweaters fit me, and then I can adjust other patterns. But this is going to be the year of sweaters. And if I find it doesn't work, I'll cut it out and stop thinking about it. But I want this to be a year of sweaters. And finally, I started something last year. It wasn't a goal, but I started something and I want to do more of it. I have never been good at keeping a record of what I'm making. And if I want to make it again, I can never tell you what that pattern, like I've shown you things when I'm talking about what I'm wearing. I'll say, oh, this is a nice pattern I made. I don't know what the pattern is. I don't know what the yarn is. Or I might say, well, I know it's one of CJ Brady's patterns, but I don't know which one. Well, I want to be able to know, to have a record of what it is I'm doing. And if I don't finish it, I have a place where I can go back and see, oh, what yarn is that? Or what hook was I using, or something? What pattern name is it? I got a few things here today to show you. I don't know what it is I was making at all. So I really want to keep record keeping going. And the other thing is I'm going to show you, I did start that last year. Unfortunately, I started it very early in the new year. I have been doing project pages in Ravelry, and that's great, but they're all mixed in with what I did last year and forever, and I have no way of keeping a record, an account of how many I made. And the other thing is, not all patterns are in Ravelry. Yes, you can make a project page, but it's not the same. So I found an app in the App Store. I guess maybe they're only for Apple products. I don't know. But I found an app called Pocket Crochet. And I've got some pictures to show you that I'll show as we go. but I found it a really good way to keep record of the projects. Okay, I'm going to flash this picture that shows a complete page of, now, all that I made last year took up 2 whole pages. I'm only showing you 1 page. If you could zoom in at all, you'll see a few of them have the flowers as the picture. But from day 1, I numbered every one as I went. And so I know at the end of the year, I got to project number 71. And of those 71, I did not complete, and I'll show you how I know that. I did not complete 3 of them, which means I completed 68 projects last year. And that includes, like, I did 10 headbands and did 1 picture for headbands. I did 3 little loveys in the spring. All 3 are in one. So I don't know if you count them as each one or whatever. So at the end of the year, I could send every one of those pictures into what they call the archives. And I sent all the completed pictures into the archives. Now I'm going to show you another picture. And this looks different simply because I turned my iPad when I took the picture. So normally there's 4 across. This is showing 6 across. But if you look closely, the very first 3 have different numbers that were last year. And so I'm leaving them there, and I'm going to, as I finish them, I'm going to renumber them this year, because I intend to finish those 3 or get rid of them, whichever the case is, this year. So that allowed those 3 whips to become part of this year. And I'll start numbering at the beginning again, number 1, number 2, number 3. Now you can see 71 is still there from last year. I did complete it last year, but I didn't get a picture taken, and I don't want to forget. It's actually the scarf that I showed you. I completed it last week. I want to get a picture of it. Once I put the picture in, I'll put it into the archives. And then I show the one I started that will finish today. Well, it's going to be a 2024 project. So that's what's showing on the opening screen. I can see what I've completed. I can see how many I've completed. Now I'm going to pop one of the ones I did last year. I'm going to open it up. And when you open it up, you'll see all of the things that they ask. Now, I don't fill in everything, but I do put starting date, complete date, hook size, pattern name is on it in the title. There are pictures. Sometimes in the notes, I'll put the yarn I'm using and that kind of thing. But the other nice thing is down farther, when you hit the details, it opens up and it allows you to import from other places. Now, I've only ever imported from Ravelry, but if I hit Ravelry, it'll import the pattern if you want. I don't need the pattern to come in. And it'll import all the pictures in Ravelry. In other words, the project pictures that the designer put on her page. And it'll input the pictures that I've put in the project page on Ravelry. And all those pictures will be there. And I just choose one picture to be the picture for the thumbnail. So this, for some reason, this program has really worked for me in keeping record, and I'm able to say to you, I completed 68 projects last year, and I started 3 others, didn't get done. Well, I started 4, the other one will get done today. 3 others that didn't get done, and there's a good spot for me to work to start the new year at completing some what people call whips. So I want to keep up in my reporting. So those are my goals for this year. I really strongly suggest that you try to set a couple of goals. Like I said, it just made me a little more accountable. It made me work at those things. So I'm going to put them aside. And now this is going to lead into the next thing I want to talk to you about. This is caught. The next thing I want to talk about today, which will probably take the rest of this video, is whips. Well, you know what I say about WIPs. First of all, WIPs stands for work in progress. I know people are able to work on 2, 3, 4 projects at a time, and they go back and forth. Those that have been with me a while, those that know me, I'm not able, I don't even have a desire to want to work on several things at once. When I start a project, I want to finish it before I start another one. Now, obviously, I don't always finish it. If I get if I'm tired of it, or I get sidetracked, or there's something else comes along that's more important, it gets put aside. But it gets put aside into time out for 2 months, 5 months, a year, 5 years, and it's no longer what I call a WIP because there's no progress being made. It becomes a UFO, an unfinished object. So this is, I think, the good time of the year to pull out these UFOs. You can call them WIPs if you want, but there's no progress been made on some of these in years. And I was cleaning up this room. I wanted it to look better. You said you wanted to see my sewing room, and I'm going to do that later this month. But I had all kinds of things piled all over. And I was, the cow, the 12 months of our mal, I'm going to have to get used to saying mal, the 12 months of our mal coming up. I've picked all 12 birds. And I like at the beginning of the year, before the year even begins, I like to have the pictures in mind. And I like to have yarn for each one. I want to make sure I can find some yarn. So I put together a project bag for all 12 of those projects. I have one that I don't have yarn for yet. So I have project bags all over the place, and they get mixed in with the project bags that have UFOs in them, and we got a mess. So I decided it's time to clean up this room so that I can show it to you. And it's time to get all of the UFOs out. For those of you that were on the live video with Gina and I was asked how many UFOs or WIPs, they said WIPs, did I have? And I said, oh, I don't have a lot, 6 or 7. At the time, I thought I might have had 8 or 9. So I went and pulled them out, and I know there's one I can't find. And as I was sitting here, I saw another one, and you count them while I show you. I'm probably at 15, which surprised me, but I'm going to show you the UFOs that I have, and I'm going to make a decision. Am I going to complete it, hopefully this year, or in the next year and a half? I don't want to leave them forever. Do I not want it at all? Let's frog it and get rid of the yarn or make something else. So it's basically 3 choices. So I want to start with, when you saw that screen with those 6 items and it had 3 WIPs, I want to start with those 3 WIPs. And one of them I knew would not get finished last year. If you remember, I made the windsurfer shawl, which takes 2 cakes of gradient cake, and I made one, and I said I enjoyed it, and I wanted to make another one. I was using smaller cakes, and I wanted it there because it's very straightforward, mindless. I wanted it on the side so that, if I got kind of tired of what I was working on, I could take a break and work on that a little bit for, say, one evening, or between 2 projects, I would work on that. Well, that showed me that I do not like going back and forth between projects because I worked on it a while and then I never did go back to it. So this year it's just going to become a project. It's another windsurfer shawl that I got that far on, and I'm using these 2 cakes. And fortunately for me, because I don't do this well, I left the hook, it's a dots hook, I left the hook in the cake. That's another reason for the record keeping. If I write down right away the yarn, the pattern, and the hook, I'll always know. But anyway, these two, and they're in one of my new project bags that I just showed you last week. So this is a project that's going to come up early in the new year and get done. Now I have the one I'm finishing. I'm going to start a sweater tonight. I want to do a sweater, and I have the January mal that must be done first. Then I might pick this up and work on it. I have another announcement later that has to get done too, but this is going to get worked on, so I'm going to put it in the forefront to do this year. Where's the next one? Oh, this is one I started, and I should have finished it at the time, and it's called the Mint Scarf, and I'm using a ball of Scarfie in the mint green. Now I have 3 balls of it, so it's not a problem of having enough. Not really sure what the pattern is. Oh, but it'll be noted on in my record keeping. I'll be able to look it up. I'm pretty sure it was either Hooked on by Robin or Fiber Flux. Well, you know what? I think what happened was I really didn't like what was happening here. And I don't know, honestly. I'm going to ask you to respond to any of the ones you feel like responding to. Should I finish this? Is this it's kind of heavy. Is it a scarf people would like? Or should I take it out and do a different pattern? Or should I just make it into a cowl? I could finish, like, this is wide enough for a cowl. And one ball might finish it. I might need the second one. That's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure I have the pattern for it. Looks like a single crochet chain, 1 double crochet in one spot, 2 double crochets in one. I think I'm going to make this into a cowl. So that will get done faster than a scarf would, because I would say I'm probably about halfway through already. So I've made a decision. This is going to be a cowl as long as I have the pattern and know what it is. If I don't know, it's going to get frogged and another pattern chosen. So that'll stay near the front. And the third one I started and didn't finish this year. And it's funny because what I didn't realize when I started this is I had started one before on a different pattern. I wanted to make a lacy wrap, a nice lacy black wrap. I think that would be so amazing. And I want to make it with amazing lace. I don't think you can get this from Lion Brand anymore. I have it in several colors. It is very, very soft. Says it's 70% acrylic and 30% nylon, but it is very soft. But it is fine. Might be lace weight or 2, a number 1. And I started it. The first time I started it, this was the pattern. And then I put it aside, and I have no clue what that pattern is. And without even realizing it, because it's still attached to the ball, I then started another lacy one, and here's the second one. Now this one I do know. This is a crystal pattern, crystal from Bag a Day. So I could look it up, no problem. I have to say I like the other pattern better, but I don't know what it is. But this one I do know. So I am going to frog one and make the other, or maybe I'll frog them both. But I do want to make a black lacy pattern. Do you recognize this pattern? It starts, let's see if I can find a better one. See what it looks like if you pull it open, and then it does the same on the top. It goes back. I'm sure some of you recognize this pattern from Crystal. It's not hard, but anyway, I have to finish this. I want to finish this. So this is on the to-do this year. Now, next one. I think at the time, now I have a question for you here. I think at the time I was planning to make a cocoon cardigan with this. Now here is something I have, and I don't use it all the time, but I ordered these little, they're stitch markers that you can put on it when you're not working on it, and it has, let's put it right side up. It has a number on it. So I know when I come back to it that I was using a number 6 hook. Anyhow, I look at this and I say, I have absolutely no desire to finish this. I have no reason to finish it. And I would have used 2 balls out of this ice yarn. Now here's my question. I am starting to do a stash again. A lot of you were really happy to purchase some mystery boxes from me. Oh, I don't know, last summer, I think. And I'm going to do some more major distashing. It'll be a while. It might be 3-4 months before I get to it. I don't know. But would you be okay with receiving yarn that had a couple of balls that had obviously been frogged, and I will wind it into a ball? Would you be okay with getting something in your mystery box that had some yarn that had been frogged and balled up again? Because then I will put these extra 2 in this bag. If you think that's not good, not a nice thing, then somebody will get 6 balls of this. But if you don't mind this being frogged, I'll put 2 more balls in this bag. But definitely, this is getting frogged. I know that. So I'm going to put it over there by the door because I'm going to do any frogging in the next day or 2. Now, here's another one that I intended to do this year. And this is a shawl. I love the pattern. It is a pattern that you really have to pay attention, or you get lost in the rows. And that's what happened here. I got lost, did the mistake, had to frog it. Then I went back to start again and found out I hadn't frogged far enough, and I frogged some more. So that kind of turned me off, but I love it because look at the colors. It's in this container, and this is the colors it's going to be. It's in one of these that has a hole in the top and feeds the yarn out. But this is going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous shawl. And I think the cake is only 800 meters, which is 875 yards, just the perfect size. So that I'm definitely going to do. Put it here in the to-do, and this is going to get done this spring because I want it for the nice weather. Next. Oh yeah, I'd forgotten about this. I didn't realize it started it. But I made myself look in every nook and cranny. I started, I don't know. I know what it is. I started a sweater. There's the ribbing. And then up we went. This is made with Feels Like Butter from Lion Brand. There it is. Feels Like Butter. I don't know about you. I love the feel of it. But the one thing I found with Feels Like Butter is that I really don't want a garment. This little bit that I have done already feels heavy. Heavy. So I don't want a sweater out of it. It's not going to be comfortable. Well, maybe you don't mind it, but it's heavier than I want. By the time I do the whole front panel and then I do a back panel, it's going to be heavy. So I'm definitely going to frog it What do you suggest a person makes that'll feel like butter? Now I have 2 balls of this pink. They are the bonus balls. And I have the same yarn in white and in black. And now that they're too heavy for a wearable, I'm thinking, what do I make with such a thing? I'd be very curious to know if you've ever used this yarn, what you made with it. As heavy as it is, it really wouldn't be a shawl either. Maybe you put it in blankets, and as you know, I'm not a blanket person. So if you don't mind getting yarn that has been frogged, I'm probably going to frog it and put it in my D stash, because here's how big it is. It has 590 yards. Well, you know what? 2 of these, a little less than 1,200. I could make a short sleeve sweater, but this is so heavy it should be a long sleeve sweater, and I don't have enough yarn. So maybe you could make a child's, maybe a cardigan. It'd be good for a heavier cardigan for a child, but it wouldn't fit me. So that's going on the frog pile. What's next? Oh, I'll get to that. Let's try this next. Now, I'm thinking these are 2 cotton cakes that I got from South Africa called Moya. And they are 100%, yes, 100% textured cotton with 6 long color changes and 5 visible knots. Remember me commenting about that? Now, I love the colors. I have this same yarn in another color. I haven't started, but it is cotton. And cotton is not one of my favorite mediums to work with. I've done the middle. And this is a shawl called Candles and Cakes, or Cakes and Candles. And it's by, I can't remember her name. Is it Chris? Anyway, Secret Yarnery. This is her pattern. And it's not a hard pattern. And for the moment, I'm going to call this a pattern that I need to complete. I may change my mind down the road, but you know what? It would be very pretty. And being 100% cotton, it could go in our donation box. So I'm going to put this on the needs to be completed pile, which I'll put over here. All right. Next, what's in this bag? Oh, yeah. This is several years, quite a few years since I started this, and I had a big desire to make a big granny square. That's how far I got, a big granny square. I think I was going to make a cocoon cardigan out of it. I don't know for sure. And this is the yarn. It's Wool Ease, and part of the reason I wanted to do it is, here's a completed one. I love my colors, right? Wool Ease is 80% acrylic, 20% wool. I cannot make a shawl and donate this to the seniors. I guess I could donate it at the church. I do love the colors, but can you tell me, when you wash Wool Ease, does it soften? Does it soften up or not? I would really like to know, because this is not the softest yarn I've ever worked with. And there's 2, and how much is in 393, and I have 4 cakes of this. Nope, wrong. I have 5 cakes of this. Well, if it softens up, I'd really like to know if it softens up. I might frog this. I don't want this. I will frog it, and it would take about 2 cakes, maybe, depending on the pattern, or part of a third. I could make a shawl, and I would still have extra, and that extra will go in my D-stash pile. Because, and I may end up putting all 4 in the D-stash and frog this. And again, if you don't have a problem with the fact that it's been frogged, somebody could get 5 cakes, or one get 3 and the other get 2. I really want to know, does this soften up? If so, I will make a shawl. But meantime, this is going on the frog pile. All right. And I got this bag. I think it was a Hirschner's bag at one point. Hirschner's or Lion Brand, I'm not sure which. Okay, next bag. Are you counting? Oh, yes. I started a top a few summers ago using this Yarn Art Summer, it's called. I liked it because it had a bit of shimmer in it. It's thin. It would make a summer top. They came in a little carry case with 4 balls in the little case. And this is how far I got. Not very far. It's only double crochets. In fact, I think it's what they call a linked double crochet. You know something? If I master, now it has 4 and there are 370 yards at 740, 1400, over 1400 yards, 350, 714, yeah, almost 1500 yards. I could even put sleeves in it. I think if I master the sweaters I'm going to make at the beginning of the year, I'm going to keep this in the bag until summer or late spring, and I'm going to maybe make this top. So I'm going to keep that in the to-do pile. Now, I have some of the exact same material, exact same yarn in gray, but it appears to only have 2 balls. I don't know if there's 2 more balls somewhere or not. 2 balls is not enough. 740, 780, and I have part of a ball used. I don't like the see-throughness of it. I think it might fit. Well, if I have 2 more balls, I suspect, what's the composition of this? 70% mercerized cotton and 30% viscose. You know, somebody might, I have this in at least 2, if not 3 other colors. So I'm going to check to see what's down there. I'm definitely going to frog this because if I were wearing it, it's too, you'd have to wear a tank top under it, and I don't really wear tank tops under tops in the summer. I find that too hot. So I'll see if I have more before I make a decision what I'll do with it, but I have a feeling it's going to get frogged. And then again, if you like getting something that's frogged, I'll pass it on, or if there's enough yarn, I'll make something different with a different stitch. Okay, this is not a UFO. I did want some ideas. I have already frogged this months ago, and I love this yarn. This is it Cloud? Yes, Karen Cloud Cakes in one of my favorite colors. It's absolutely heavenly, and I don't know what to make with it. And I have 2 cakes, and there are 760 yards in a cake, 1,520. What should I make with it? Some kind of cardigan? I'm not a big cardigan wearer, but anyway, I would like a suggestion. I started on a cocoon cardigan, and I don't want a cocoon cardigan. So we're getting there. I have a few more back here. Only 3. Okay. Now, This is a problem for me. This is a single cake that goes with this, but I don't necessarily need that cake. It was in case I needed more. Here's the story. I was asked by somebody to do a test pattern for a shawl. And there is the beginning of the test pattern. And that was part one. The person was doing it in parts. So she sent me part one. And that's how far I got. And I love the colors in here. But after I got this far, the person says she didn't have the time. She decided she wasn't doing this pattern. She did something else with the pattern and just didn't want it tested, I think. But anyhow, I'm not going to get into that. I have this much done. Am I capable? I don't know. Am I capable of figuring out the stitch count and just doing my own thing for the rest? It would be very, very plain if I did, double crochets and open, I don't do fancy things, which would be pretty on this. Or can somebody suggest a pattern that already has 4 sides like that to a point? I think if I knew what to make with this and I could finish this, which would be gorgeous, I would like to do that. So what do you suggest I do with this? I really don't want to frog out all that work, which some of it, it's got post stitches and so on. I really would like to make this shawl. So I need some direction on where to go with it. And if I need more, these have 1,000. This is a twister from Hobie. These have 1,000, which is usually enough. But if I need to extend it, I have this matching to make it another up to 400 yards, I believe. So a little help would be needed on that one. Oh yeah, okay. I don't know what I'm making. Not a cocoon cardigan. Not a sweater. It's not that big. I don't know what I'm making. And these are the cakes. They are nice and soft. I love the feel of them. What do? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 cakes. Each cake has 218 yards. So I have 800, close to 900. Do I take it out and make a shawl? What's the content? 65% cotton, 35% acrylic. Well, that answers that. It only has a little over 800, almost 900 yards. I can make a shawl with this. That's the answer to this question. I am going to frog it. And I think I'm going to make the reading shawl. This would be wonderful in the reading shawl. Okay, so frog it, and I know what project I'm going to do with it. So that takes care of all of, no, I have one more. And this one I've taken out and pondered and put away and taken out and pondered many times. Here is the yarn. It's probably a number 4. And I think you can see that inside, well, it's a metallic with fuzzy around it. I love the yarn. I love it. I thought I would make a wrap. I thought, oh, that'd make a nice wrap. And I don't really care for it in the wrap. I think it goes this way. And I don't even know what stitch. Every row isn't the same. I think there's 2 or 3 different rows. Anyway, I was using a number 5 with it, but I don't really want to wrap in it. So I definitely am going to frog it. Let me tell you something about it. It's called Rockstar Metallic, and it has 100 meters, which is about 110 yards. So it has 1,000. No, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I might have two cakes in there, 2 of these donuts. 6, so maybe there was 8, so maybe there's 800 meters. It's definitely enough to make a shawl, but what's the fiber content? Because you know we can't donate. And I'm sure this got, oh yeah, it's got 25% wool, 30 acrylic, and 30 polyester, and 15 metallic. So it cannot go in the donation box. Would it look nice as a shawl? It's fairly heavy. I mean, it's fuzzy like alpaca, but I don't know. I'm definitely going to have to frog this because I have no idea what the pattern is. And do I make it something that goes in the D-stash, or do I make a shawl with it? Or what would you make with this if you had this yarn? It feels fairly thick. There's a bit of heaviness to it. It's definitely a number 4 weight. What would I do with it? If I do frog it, what would I make with it? I love the color. I love the metallic in it, but I don't, and it's been sitting there in a cupboard, in and out, in and out, in and out. I cannot figure out what to do with it, but it definitely has to get frogged, so I'll put it on the frog pile, and then maybe I'll get some suggestions of what to make with this beautiful blue metallic. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That was 14 UFOs. I know for a fact there's one other one. I'm going to have to keep looking and bring it out, and we'll talk about it next week because it was made with EFA yarn. All right. So that's the WIP UFO situation. I am now going to put them in good project bags, and I'm going to put them in a certain place where I do something with them. And I have a plan of attack, but I have the question, if I frog and put it in a mystery box, is that okay with you? Or would you rather not get something that's being frogged? That's my question. Okay, before I say goodbye, I meant to talk about this earlier. I have a really important announcement to make, and I think you're going to be excited about it. You recall, I know that I did a live show with Gina. It was at the end of November, I believe. We did a live show together, and we got regular reoccurring comments. I'm sure Gina got the same I did, that they enjoyed the live show and that we should get together and do more live shows, the 2 of us. I guess the interesting thing is that it's part knit, part crochet, the 2 of them brought together, because she only knits and I only crochet. And by the way, I did try to knit on the weekend, and I'm here to say that that's the last time I will try to knit. Knitting and I are not ever going to get together. End of discussion. So anyway, we're going to do a live show, and I'm only here right now to tell you that the date will be January the 27th. That's a Saturday. We wanted to be able to get the people that said, well, they couldn't make it, and I'm sure they couldn't because it's a work day. It was a work day. Saturday usually isn't. And it's going to be, again, it will be on Gina's channel, and she will be inviting me there. And it will be at noon my time, which is Eastern Standard Time, 11 o'clock her time. On the West Coast, that's 9 o'clock. And noon is like 5 o'clock in the UK. And those of you that are in Europe can figure out what time it is from UK time. And here's the reason we're getting together. We want to do a MAL together. I have found some patterns, and we did narrow it down. I found a pattern that is designed by the same designer. She designed two. One is a knit version and one is a crochet version. So we're going to work together, her people and my people. If you want to do both, that's fine too. But we're going to work on a project together. And it has a knit version and a crochet version, and they look the same. Now, we're not going to reveal the pattern until the live, and we'll tell you how the MAL will proceed. All that information will be on the live program, but we just wanted to prepare you for January the 27th. January the 27th, we'll show you the patterns, talk about the yarn, talk about the schedule to do it, and everything else connected with that project. And we picked something that was fairly straightforward and easy that pretty much everybody could do. So we hope you're going to join us on our live show Saturday, January the 27th, noon Eastern Standard Time. And you work out the time for where you are located. And we're pretty excited about doing this. We think it'll be a lot of fun, and we hope that most of you will consider joining in with us. So that was my big announcement. I guess I took care of what had to be done this week. Next week, I want to talk about yarn subscriptions. That's my main focus next week, is yarn subscriptions. So I hope you'll be back to join me next week. And until then, happy hooking.